Namaskar. I am Dr. Atul Gaikwad, Principal of ERA Institutes College of Education, RV Pune, Maharashtra. Now, today we are going to discuss about research proposal. We are going to discuss about research proposal and its sub-themes. So, first we have to take the introduction. So, friends, introduction must start with a slogan. Slogan properly which is related to your research theme. Introduction must start with slogan. Then you have to slowly go ahead to your research subject. Then you have to explain exactly main points, keywords in your introduction. You can give a tabular format also in introduction. Then you have to go next point, that is review. Friends, there are two parts of review. First, which is related to literature, and another which is related to research thesis. Literature, in this literature, there are books, there are magazines, there are newspaper cuttings and websites. You have to mention just 4 to 5 lines within first paragraph that is content in particular book which is you are reviewed. Then in next paragraph you have to mention how such book, how such literature is useful to you for writing research proposal, proposed research proposal. The next part, that is research, that means thesis. You have to mention international research, then out of state research. If you are living in Maharashtra, then out of Maharashtra research and Maharashtrian research. You have to just write down within paragraph. First, name of the researcher, name of the university, year, then his objectives, methodology, and then findings or conclusions. Then similarity, then differences, and then how such a research is useful to your proposed proposal. You have to mention it. Next point, that is need of the research. So friends, it is little bit difference between need and significance. Need means useful of your study or your research, that is before doing your study. That is called need of the research. And significance, that means useful of your study after completion of your research. So in this need, you have to mention that how researcher find out such problem and why select such problem and means before your research. So these things mentioned in your need. The next point, that is title. So friends, there are basically 2 points. First, which is title, and another which is statement of the research. It is little bit different, title and statement of the research. Title should be clear and should not use verb, but statement you have to use verb. Okay, in the statement you have to mention your state or district, standard, etc., area, sector, etc. But in title, you have to not mention such things. You have to clear cut write down title which is accurate. Showing your keywords from your research study. Next, next point, that is definitions. So friends, there are basically two types of research definitions. First is conceptual definition and another one operational definition. Conceptual definition we find in book or website on another published sector. But operational definition which is prepared by the researcher. Operational definitions is related to your area, your research. So this information belongs to our definitions. Then our point is objectives. Objectives of the research. Objectives should be clear. It is related to your research. Should be in specific number. Objectives should not just large number. It is specific and it should be clear. But objectives maybe have sub-objectives. Then next one, assumption. So friends, assumption must be a conclusion or finding of another researcher. That means another researcher can complete his research and publish his findings or conclusions. Then it may be your assumption. Hence, we have to provide, we have to give a proper reference in a proper citation manner for assumption. So friends, next point, that is hypothesis of the research. So friends, there are basically two types of hypothesis. Actually, there are many types, but basically a researcher can use two types of the hypothesis. First, that is research hypothesis, which is positive, and second, null hypothesis, that is negative. Null hypothesis means there is no significance difference between pre-test and post-test manner. And research hypothesis, that means there is significance difference between pre-test and post-test manner. So research hypothesis must be write down with the help of your variables, independent variables and dependent variables, and just conclude that there is significance difference between two tests, that is pre-test and post-test. Null hypothesis, that means there is no significance difference find out between pre-test and post-test. Then next one, that is scope. Scope means if some elements which is related to your research, you have to mention that. That means proposed research must be related to the learner of 9th standard or teacher of the 9th standard or headmaster, that means HM of the school, or some proposed research should related to parents. Whatever elements which is related to your research, you have to mention in scope. But if you are mentioning in the scope, you have to work on that particular element. Next, that is limitation. So friends, it's little bit difference between limitation and delimitation. Limitation must be related to research and delimitation must be related to the researcher. So limitation related to research, delimitation related to researcher. In limitation, you can write down that proposed research must be related to the information which is collected by data collection tool, or proposed research should be related to the particular area of the learner or particular area of the elements. In delimitation, you have to write down, that is your constructed state, your selected district, your selected standard, your selected area, your selected elements, you have to write down in your delimitation. Delimitation which is related to the researcher. Researcher just construct himself for specific limited sector. Such sectors may be published in delimitation. Then significance. Significance of the research. So friends, significance means application of your study, application of your research after completing it. That means if you are completed your study, then who get benefits from your study, you have to mention in significance of the study. So next point is research type. There are basically three types of the research, and you have to mention your research type. If your research belongs to survey or qualitative research, then it may be descriptive. So you have to select proper research type. There are basically three types which is given in this slide. Next, research method. Actually, research method, you know that survey method, experimental method, product development method, or mixed method, multi-method. So, what is exactly your research method? You have to mention it with your tabular format. That means objective and research method. For first objective, which method you are using for first objective, you have to mention in tabular form. For second objective, for third objective, if there is, then fourth objective. How many methods, which methods you have to mention, you have to use, that you have to mention in your research proposal. It is given in tabular format in this slide. Next, that is data collection tool. This one is most important, data collection tool. But you have to mention in tabular format. That is objective, then sample, and then data collection tool. And then data analysis tool. You have to make a chart belongs to it, which is given in this slide. So such chart is most important. You have to provide a chart as per objective. What is your objective? What is your sample? And what is your data collection tool? For first objective, it is for survey. Then your sample is a precedent or a proper some elements belongs to institute. Then you are using questionnaire, yeah, or interview scale. You have to mention that. Then next, population. Population means whole elements which is belongs to your research, which is belongs to your study. Then sample. Sample means selected elements from the population. There are sampling methods, basically two methods, probable and non-probable. You have to select which is proper, which is related to your study. Okay, that means population, then sample, then sampling method, then rationale behind sampling method. Why you are using such sampling method? You have to mention there. Then data collection tool, data analysis tool, and then you have to mention just time schedule and budget schedule, which is given in this slide. Time schedule. Time schedule is related to your preparation of tool, application of tool, your review, then thesis writing. Such points is related to our time schedule. Then budget schedule. Xerox, some stationeries, travels, thesis printing, some books, some elements which is purchased by you for this research, you have to mention in this budget. And last one, that is references. So friends, you have to mention reference with the help of APA style, that is American Psychological Association, which is given here in this slide. So first you have to mention surname, that initial, then in bracket publication year, then after the bracket name of the book or magazine or title of the research, then publication place and publication name you have to mention here. So it is very easy to write down research proposal. My best wishes to write down your proposal. Thank you.